All right, well, let's continue our walk. I do have a handout. And what does the name Jacob mean? Someone at this table? Trickster, supplanter, it's all kind of bad stuff. As a matter of fact, the Bible makes it clear that Jacob comes out of his mother, Rebecca, grabbing the heel of his brother Esau. Again, an attempt to displace him.
Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officers, the captain of the guard.
Good, good. And now, then you have this kind of intervening story there. It talks about Judah and Tamar. We covered that last week. And now we're picking up the narrative in chapter 39, verse 1. Where are my geography people? Why is it Upper Egypt at the bottom and Lower Egypt at the top?
To do with the Nile.
Yes, because the Nile flows up. It says consistently in verse 2, the Lord was with Joseph. Verse 3, the Lord was with him. And the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hand. So this is going to become a recurring theme because what the author wants, what Moses wants us to know is that indeed God is with him. God is with him. It continues that. Look in verse 21. Turn the page there. But the Lord was with him and showed him great steadfast love and gave him favor. Verse 23. The Lord was with him and the Lord made it to succeed. So God is with him. What is God doing? He's being faithful to the promise. Yeah, and God is going to be with him. God promised the patriarchs, I'm going to be with you. Abraham, I'm going to be with you. Isaac, I'm going to be with you. Jacob, I'm going to be with you. And here, the promise is going even to Joseph. I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. Yes, sir?
What I find even more interesting than just God favoring him, verse 3 says, and his master saw that the Lord was with him.
Yeah,
it was evident.
It was evident.
It was crystal clear. And that's the reason why he puts him in charge of everything. And then when he puts him in charge of everything in his house, it succeeds. It goes really well. So look at what it says there in verse 6. From the time that he made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house. Now why is that important? Because God said to Abraham, everyone that blesses you, I will bless.
Yes.
So the promise again is to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, and to Joseph. There is something of a warning here that I want to point out. Proverbs chapter 6 is where we're going to start. Chapter 6, verse 20 is where we will start. As a matter of fact, yes. So Edwin, how about if I get you to read chapter 6, verse 20 and 21? Okay?
My son, keep your father's commandments, forsake not your mother's teaching, blind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck.
Okay, good. Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Now when it says my son, so who's talking?
The mother.
Good, good. It says keep your father's commandments. What does that mean?
Listen to your father.
Good, good. And forsake not your mother's teaching. What does that say about your mother? Listen to your mother too. Great. Very good. You're absolutely right. Now here we go. Good job. Very good job.
Yes.
Tyler, pick it up from there.
When you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk with you.
Who is the they here?
The commandments.
It could be the commandments or it could be the parents also. So it's kind of ambiguous there. Either way, but keep going.
For the commandment is a lamp and the teaching a light. And the reproofs of discipline are the way of life, to preserve you from the evil woman from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread, but a married woman hunts down a precious life. Keep going.
Yeah, well, yeah, keep going.
Can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes not be burned? Or can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her will go unpunished. People do not...
Go unpunished by who?
God.
God also could be the scorned husband. Keep going.
People do not despise if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry. But if he is caught, he will pay sevenfold. He will give all the goods of his house. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his grace will not be wiped away. For jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse though he multiply.
Okay. What does it say?
You have to be strong with the commandments that you're given. Because when temptations come like that, you can't give in because yeah, you'll be punished.
And the command is specific here. What is that command?
Let's talk about women.
What about them?
Like,
You're right.
preserve yourself from evil.
Who's that? Okay, let's take a look here. Verse
19, and it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. Go on.
Oh yeah.
And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper.
Did you notice the parallels here?
Yeah.
What's the parallel?
He finds favor again. The
Right.
Lord is with him, and it's obvious
In the prison, just like he had favor
in the palace.
in the palace. Let's see. Verse 19 tells us that Potiphar burned with anger, meaning that he got mad, and the prison where the king's prisoners were confined, also called the dungeon, verse 40. This is what I want to get to here. Noticing these parallels there. That once again, just like God was with him when he was in the palace, God was with him when he was in the prison. Just like everything that he touched succeeded when he was in Potiphar's house, everything that he touched, every business transaction that he made, also prospered while he was in prison.
Don't you find it strange that Potiphar did not question his wife?
And I wonder
You're saying because of the fact that he found so much favor with the Lord, and granted, back in that time, maybe that was a thing where you didn't have to do that. But I just always thought that was very interesting that he immediately said, "Okay, well, you got to go."
but it doesn't say.
Yeah.
Because this is one of those things where you really wish you had more
Yes,
information.
very much so.
You're
Very
just
much
like,
so.
oh, what? Is there anything more there?
Right.
And then that's when you're like, okay, what's the purpose? Why is this narrative even here?
Right.
What's the bigger picture?
And the bigger picture
Yeah.
is
The favor of God.
the favor of God.
Right.
Yeah, God's with him
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
Whether he's in the palace,
Right.
and it looks like God's plan to come to an end
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Joseph in the prison.
Right.
Yeah.
But you gotta remember that God is with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
So
to answer your question more specifically, he could have had him killed.
Right.
And the fact that he doesn't have him killed,
Right. You
just
feel
puts
like
him in
that's
prison, might be a little bit of a...
grace. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure. I'm not quite sure this really happened. Okay. I've always thought about that.
Yeah.
Because even when he makes that transition into the into the being over Egypt and things like that. I'm like, but how does that make sense? Because if you're still that same person, you're literally bringing him out to be ruler over
Yeah,
Egypt.
yeah.
So
Doesn't happen overnight, but yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
But it looks like also, just imagine if Joseph had done this evil,
yeah,
then it looks like Joseph's going to end up in prison anyway.
Right.
Then would he have still had the favor of God?
But wasn't it just a test of God to see?
It seemed like it was a test of God to me.
But what you do see here is, unlike Joseph's predecessors, Abraham,
Yes.
Isaac, and Jacob,
Say it.
who do fail,
Yes.
who fail to trust God completely,
right.
Yes.
Joseph does.
Yeah.
And he's very bold about it. Yeah.
Always trusted God.
Yeah.
Always trusted God to bring him through. Not so with his predecessors.
That's true.
So that's kind of that major difference there.
Yeah.
And even when he finds himself in exile and he finds himself in kind of a worse condition that he
Right.
possibly can think of, he's still trusting God.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Could it be too because of how he even got to Egypt in the first place? His own people had rejected him, and so he had to trust God. And in trusting God, and what was the scripture the other week? Was it Isaiah? As long as he sought the Lord, he prospered.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even in this situation with Joseph, he has to trust God because those that he depended on and leaned on rejected him. And so as he's trusting God and seeking God, he's favored and he prospers.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, indeed. Verse 23. Now, remember what he had asked. The only thing that he had asked for the cupbearer was that, just remember me. Only remember me, verse 14, when it is well with you. And please do me the kindness to mention me to Pharaoh, and so get me out of this house.
Right.
Verse 23, yet the cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but
Forgot
forgot.
him.
Good.
A little later on.
But so once again, it's one of these big cliffhangers. The cupbearer's forgotten. The baker is no good. He's dead. So what's going to happen to him? Is anybody remembering this guy?
Yes, it's
God.
Yeah.
God remembers. Just like God remembered Noah. Just like he remembered now chapter 19 there. Who was there? One of the women there. And chapter 30, we just mentioned Hagar. Remembered Hagar, and he remembered in chapter 30, was it Rahab? Not Rahab. Rachel. If you turn your papers over, you got. There are lots of things that we can walk away with from this, simply from our study here today. So, what principles do we learn? Well, number one, believers have no control over some circumstances in life, whether in the prison or in the palace. But we can respond to just circumstances with faith and integrity, just like Joseph did, no matter where you are. No. Hold to your integrity. Hold to your trust in God, just like Joseph did. Second, faithful employees seek the best for their boss, just like Joseph did, right? Yeah, okay. Not what might be easiest for them. Now look, you don't want anyone coming to do work for you at the house being a slacker. You don't want that. So why would you be a slacker for your superior?
Come on now, that's good.
Do it as unto the Lord. Isn't that what Paul says in Timothy?
That's what he said.
Do your work as unto the Lord. The reason why you're so blessed, I think you do that. Or else you got your bosses that recognized you, gave you, what, employee of the month, employee of the year and stuff. Yeah, good. Exactly right. Everyone should be getting awards like that from their employer. Every Christian should be getting awards like that. Because you recognize who you're doing it for. You want to seek what's best for your boss. You want to be recognized. Well, you don't want to be going there bragging that you're a Christian, then you go in there, number one, you're late to work every day. And then you sit there and you're on your phone. If you're on the computer, doing all kinds of stuff you shouldn't be doing. Texting and Facebook. You don't want to do that. You want to be a good employee. You're cheating them, you're stealing from them. Because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. A person who's faithful in the small things in life will also be faithful in greater things. Isn't that what Jesus said? If you're faithful in little, he was faithful in much, will be little will also be faithful in much. So be faithful in the small things. Be faithful in the small, and if you know the small job that you have, the small task that you've been given, be faithful in that. And then later on, you be given more greater tasks. God's blessings do not insulate our lives from hardships or injustice. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that you're not going to have trouble. Again, going back to what Job says, a man's life for a few days and those are full of trouble. Okay. Our ability to overcome temptation depends more on our character than the circumstances. Right? We talked about the temptations that when they come your way, just run, just flee. And don't put yourself in situations where it can happen. And we talked about, I gave some very practical things to do to stay away from temptations. Okay, finally. Do your work in such a way that you become indispensable to your employer. Notice I used the word indispensable.
Yes, you
You
did.
can be an indispensable worker.
Who says so?
Second, believe that God will use you in this time and do not force your way into situations where you might believe that the time is right. Just because you think that your time is next in line, don't do that. The Lord will make a way, and don't believe the lie that God is not aware of secret sin. Granted, Joseph could have done it. He could have done it because nobody was at the house or anything like that. But God saw. God would have seen it, just like He saw David. Chapter 12, verse 1 says, the thing that David did displeased God. Oh, this is the last one. I had the moral courage to go along with God's sovereign work in your life. Again, whether it's in circumstances that you think are bad or ones that you think are positive.